Hello there and welcome back. So I wanted to do one last reflective review of the new festive units. I did, of course, review all of them separately without much update needed except for Theo, and then we'll have a few words about Lavanya as well. But let's just dig in and do another review of all four. Okay, so Theo ended up sneaky being the star of the banner, and when we only had her info, it was kind of wise to wait, especially because people like me that always pull for PvP, we knew something was coming. Now this, okay, this is awesome, but that makes her insane, but she's already so good without that, even at A0. And what it really is all about this buff. And I don't feel bad about kind of not getting it at first, because even right now looking at it, it just does not hit me in the face that this is super powerful. 15%, you know, that multiplier doesn't seem like a lot. If we're talking like Pursuit or Caged or Bold Vigor, you know, sometimes we're seeing 40% Bold Vigor, and these are all multipliers on the final damage, where here, you know, timed fatal wasn't talked about a lot. And to me, I thought it just boosted that stat. And boosting the crit damage stat is not the same as like Pursuit or Bold Vigor, which is a final damage multiplier. But I'm now being told that timed fatal does act like a final damage multiplier. And the thing is, if you have Summer Gail, or on a fire team, if you have Abstract Serapha, and you stack those with Theo, the numbers are going to fly off the shelf. It's going to be insane. And now that I have Theo, because I had to pity her, as you saw in my last video, my summons, I actually haven't run her in Subjugation yet, but I did run her in Fateboard, and she's incredible in Fateboard. Really made those stages a breeze on the most recent Ternary. And that's something that's going to be true for kind of all new units that are DPS. They're going to be great in Fateboard because they have the new updated stats. And that's kind of true if you're using a standalone DPS in Arena as well, because if you look at, like, let's say the buffed A2 or 2P or someone like that, and they have great offensive stats now, they still have their dated HP stat, and they go down way easier. So, I'm getting ahead of myself, but if you're bringing Gail as a turret, and this HP isn't so high, but the defense is pretty high, compared to these older units that can just do a lot of damage, we're seeing a way better balanced stats across the board. So it's been talked about quite a bit, but that's why Theo is the one to grab if you can only grab one and you're not like an endgame arena player. And we'll talk about Lavanya when we get there, of course. Furthermore, the fact that these units have karma sets them apart, but even without the karma, they're still busted compared to their previous, units that you'd compare them to. So Theo, because she's a generalist, right? Just like last year we got Celeb Yuri, and she was incredibly useful all over the place. Theo is the new unit as far as that goes. Okay, and then the weapons, you can check my old video for each of these units. Okay, so Gail, my opinion hasn't changed. She's the best win DPS, and it felt like she could maybe be close to Mech Yuzuki and New Year Yuri, and both of those are still great. But of course, the karma, she does have better stats, and it has the awesome, Awakening Not Needed, the amazing passive there for damage, and then the big multiplier with a self-pursuit buff. So, yeah. What else is there to say besides she is hands down the best wind DPS? So Fateboard and Subjugation, of course, and then these days standalone turrets. By standalone, I mean that they don't bring any party support. They are good in Arena, and lots of people are using Gail, and, you know, I would recommend, you know, going for Karma that helps her in PvE, but if you really want, and it doesn't matter to you, you could go for this cooldown and, you know, have some advantages there in PvP. So, again, you can check out my old video on Gail. My opinion hasn't changed on her. All right, Noel. Same deal. My opinion hasn't changed, and, you know, I will draw your attention to that HP again, which makes her incredible in Fate board. So she's doing great work there. She does only have a 4-hit, which is a bummer, but so did Yuzuki, and it still does just fine. And yeah, she's still hitting top numbers. Of course, they all have this new crazy attack stat. And, you know, it was a bummer at first when I saw this. Her full damage is not realized until you get A3, but guess what? I have used her, and I did use her in Subjugation, and I didn't even fully ascend her. My Noel is A1, but was only level 80, and I got her to cap on her character skill. So what does that tell you? I didn't even have this. Whoop. I didn't even have this passive, and just the beautiful multiplier and her stats alone, you know, the stats weren't even close because she was only 80. So, Noel is awesome. She looks awesome too. All right, onward to Lev, who I just kind of reviewed for my own opinion, and confident in my own opinion of him. And people like me who are endgame PvP players, myself, if there is a new instant character skill character with something unique that no one else has, it is absolutely a pull. And that's just me. And maybe you don't care about PvP, or you're just fine with top 50, and top 50 isn't so hard these days. But it turns out Lavagna's, you know, debated quite a bit, and people bring up the fair points about him. His main drawback is that he's not bringing the debuffs like Udeal does. So if he's standing by himself, he can go down kind of easy because your opponent is not debuffed. They still have their full power, and sure, you got this damage reduction and defense, but as soon as that damage reduction is shaved off, potentially a very strong turret can use skill 1 to shave off all your damage reduction and then take you out, bypassing all of your recovery passives. Okay, so he loves to be paired with Yuri or any of the other debuffers. Of course, I said all of this in my original review. But, you know, the discussion I see out there is all fair discussion, but then there's this contagion where these points are made, and then lesser experienced players see that, and then they just say, Lev bad, you know, Lavagna's bad. So he's definitely not, okay? One, here's why. Okay, obviously there's the gimmick of the guaranteed counter. Now this is very niche, and it can only apply in the right scenario, but when it does, I mean, check out my my arena climb with him. There were several times where I'm blocking 2 AAs, and some of them are Summer Noel and Lars, FF Lars. Now, the AAs from both of those 2 alone could have killed a Udeal, or absolutely wasted his recovery, or at least triggered his recovery, making the subsequent skills take him down immediately, whereas Lavagna's over here blocking it, just straight up 100% blocking it. Okay, furthermore about Lavagna, we have unprecedented HP, so his HP can go higher, and especially if you want a double recovery. Okay, so I rolled this in my Lavagna. You can get another recovery that previously we would need to use a sub-weapon to get that, which would bring Udeal's HP potential down. But Lavagna has it built in with Karma, and then can use the craziest HP weapons to bring his HP up. So I can show you exactly what he looks like. Let's head over to my bank here. Because I have him max exalted, I have him A4, and I have all my karma filled out. This is what he looks like. 195k HP. And with the right build and support, he can easily surpass 800k in Arena. On my chunkiest build, he's sitting right, like 799, is right below 800k. But I don't have party HP mems. I have offensive mems on my other characters. And so we have 20% more HP. That's why he's up to 195. Again, the built-in recovery. Unbelievably powerful. And then I opted for this one. This was just my own choice because of the fact that to realize his full potential, you have to make sure that you go first. So I always pair him, no, I don't always actually, but I like to pair him with a sniper, in my case, Priet. Then this synergizes well in that build, and that's why I went for that. You could obviously opt for more damage reduction there. And fire resist, you know, I guess that'd be good in PvE, but I wouldn't recommend it. Again, I wish I could put wind resist on him. Okay, so again, just the kits, since we're being thorough here. Okay, the 50% defense, and then Yuri will bring it up to 100. And then, yeah, the counter. Usable from start, so pretty basic. And then toughness, the 50% recovery built in. And then the A3 Indomitable, which is insane. And when stacked with Yuri, it's kind of like having Griff, where you have 90%. Just got to make sure that they are debuffed, because I've seen him go down pretty quickly. So the criticisms are fair, but he's not bad. But he really is a niche arena unit for those of us that are like top 5 climbers that want to have all the options available to us. And that's why I went for him. Okay, so, you know, in review, you got one pity left and you don't have Fio yet. She's the one to go for. That's the best advice, especially for newer players or just, you know, people that aren't this like niche person like me that likes to try to like go for rank 1 sometimes in arena. Fio is your generalist and, you know, just does insane numbers. And I wanted to get that in because I know I didn't mention that in my first video of her. I was just looking at her on paper, and I always review it the day it drops, and nobody had used her yet. So she's insane. She can fill the Wave 2 role on every element in subjugation. And for example, if she's doing, you know, if she's in the water build, you give her that EX Yuri gun. It has more timed fatal, and that just stacks. And then, of course, hopefully you paired her with Summer Gail. And again, the damage potential is just absolutely insane with her. So those are my final thoughts. Let me know how everything went for you. Did you get the characters you wanted? Who's your favorite? Any other final thoughts that you have for me? Leave it in the comments. Other than that, a like and a subscribe is always appreciated, and I will see you in the next one.